Welcome into Queen City News Plus Live. It is January 15th as we welcome you into the Blue Room here on Queen City News. I am anchor Morgan Francis, joined by Brian Blakely, Austin McCullum, and Andrew Brightman, who is hard working on that. Is that the forecast?
Yeah, it's
Did
freezing
you just
outside
switch the
today.
screen on me? All right.
My gosh, it's cold.
Stop looking at my computer, Morgan.
All right. We'll get to the forecast in just a little bit. But Brian, latest coming out of Minneapolis, there have been a lot of developments.
Well, it seems like every day there's something that happened, and unfortunately, it's not good. Right now, the protesters and the Border Patrol agents have clashed. President Trump today threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, which is an 1807 law that will deploy troops to quell these persistent protests that he says is against the federal officers in Minneapolis, and he says he wants to enforce his administration's massive immigration crackdown.
Mm-hmm. And this comes after, another man who attacked ICE with a shovel and broom handle was shot after the shooting death of Renee Good. We learned yesterday, the day before, that the ICE officer who was involved in that incident and shot Good suffered internal bleeding to his torso. So there's a lot of unrest with all of this that is happening in Minneapolis. Trump said if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act. Supporters say that there's a need to kind of restore order and public safety, arguing that these peaceful protests are is a constitutional right, but blocking the road and attacking officers crosses a line. Meanwhile, you have those who are against this move, saying that this is just a dangerous overreach, and there's a risk of violation of equal protection rights, speech, due process, all the above.
Yeah, in Minnesota, they have Minnesota leaders have tried to say protest peacefully, but everyone on both sides seems to be ramping it up. As according to reports that you're seeing coming out of Minneapolis, I have worked with a former anchor who in Seattle who is now in Minneapolis, and she talks about how they're trying to get peace there, but it's been very tough. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has responded to Trump's post that he says that he would challenge any action of invoking their Insurrection Act in court. Schools have been closed. They're going to be closed until next week. St. Paul schools announced the 30,000 students they have there. They are going to be going on online. So a lot that keeps developing here, and certainly another shooting that we had on Queen City News at 10. It's breaking news last night. You could just see flashbangs going off, and the situation there is devolving and hopefully not going to get any worse, and hopefully that will not happen. The other story we're talking about today, Morgan, and that is the UN Security Council has called an emergency meeting right now that's happening right now at 3 o'clock. That is involving Iran and the latest that's happening there. President Trump has ramped up his rhetoric against Iran, and Iran has been doing a lot of the blackouts there that have occurred and a lot of the protests within that country in Tehran and also around the rest of the country, as over 2,600 people have been killed in those protests that have been happening there.
Right, and this all started with the collapse of their currency there, but has kind of evolved into economic issues and just overall anti-government statements from a lot of these protesters. There have been at least 2,615 demonstrators killed. Iran closed its airspace to commercial flights for hours without explanation today. Meanwhile, you have White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying that Donald Trump and his team have communicated to Iranian officials that there would be, quote, grave consequences if killing continues against these protesters. And
that's the big concern here, is that Iranian officials blame the U.S. and Israel for stoking the flames of these protests, but also in a larger picture, many people around the world are worried that the U.S. might go in, as what Trump is alluding to here, of some sort of military action. The UN is meeting to talk a little bit about that, but also the EU is also considering stronger sanctions against Iran. The U.S. personnel has been pulled out of a military base in Qatar because they're worried about situations there. So this situation has been heightened quite a bit here. And I know we're doing a story here on Queen City News today about the Persian community, about how they're handling it. And I know from many of my family on my wife's side who is Persian, they're from Iran, and they have been blacked out quite a bit and have not been able to communicate well. But they honestly, they love America. it's the regime they don't like. So any kind of regime change is welcome there.
Well, and it's difficult to get information coming out when you have these internet blackouts, which is what the protesters have been experiencing. So, for us to get this information, it's difficult. I want to get back here locally. Trump is meeting with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado today. Her party is the one that is widely believed to have won the election in Venezuela. But
that many said Maduro stole.
Right.
To stay in power,
Currently, the acting president is Delcy Rodriguez, who is Maduro's vice president, along with others
It's
in his
an interesting
inner
meeting
circle.
that's going on today. Yeah, it's
There, at one point there were talks that maybe Machado would give her Nobel Peace Prize that she won. To President Trump, which was kind of
she's got the Peace Prize. Trump wanted that badly, and she is trying to walk a delicate line here diplomatically to say, hey, you know what? I want to be the leader of Venezuela. Not the people that you have in power. Delcy Rodriguez, the acting president, that was Maduro's vice president.
Right.
And the other people under that are running Venezuela right now are Maduro's inner circle.
Right.
So
it's
there's
like
questions
2.0.
about whether you really want democracy here. So that's why Machado is at the White House trying to get back in there and fight for democracy.
And who knows if they're going to talk about anything worth, real substance on the issue. Levitt again called Machado a remarkable and brave voice for the people of Venezuela. It'll be interesting to see what is discussed at this meeting, if it's anything that is going to put her in position to take power. Who knows?
She's going to meet later on with the Senate today, and as we know, with a lot of situations when it comes to these type of things, there'll have to be some sort of deals that are going to have to be struck.
And maybe it's a Nobel Peace Prize, right? How much is that worth to you?
And the people of the Nobel Peace Prize have said that can't happen.
Right.
You can't share it. You can't give it away. We're not doing that. But if Machado wants to give that away, that she certainly could do that if she chose to do so.
Yeah, interesting there. Back here locally, the petition to remove Mecklenburg County Sheriff Garry McFadden has been dismissed. It doesn't necessarily mean that his legal issues could be over. We'll get into that for a little bit, but the hearing today only lasted 20 minutes. The petition was filed by Democratic State Representative Carla Cunningham and several former employees. We're expecting Cunningham and McFadden to be
We'll
at
have
the
that
same...
story on Queen City News tonight.
Yeah, they're going to be at an
meeting
event tonight together.
Forum,
Well, not together, but at the same forum. So that'll be interesting. But they accuse McFadden of misconduct, making threats for people who and employees who are viewed as disloyal.
Yeah, she had a petition to sue along with 5 other people to have him removed from office. District Attorney from Mecklenburg County, Spencer Merriweather, dismissed this without prejudice today, meaning the case could be revived depending on the SBI investigation if that does find anything. But it was dismissed today. And then Cunningham did email a statement saying to everyone, saying the SBI investigation will continue and the DA will have the opportunity to seek McFadden's removal based on the investigation. So it's now in the court's hands, is what she was saying. And it certainly goes back to a lot of back and forth. Carla Cunningham, controversial Democratic lawmaker here in Mecklenburg County who is running for re-election. It is going to be a good story tonight that we'll have on Queen City News at 10 if they do talk, if they do see each other, if there's any kind of going back and forth, because there's been a lot of good barbs traded in the
McFadden
media
has
here.
called this an election year smear campaign.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they have any comments on that. It'll be interesting. But just coming out of court today, he said that he's ready to get back to work and is thankful for everyone who has voted for him.
Here's a great story that came out today. Another one talking about fixing basketball games. Very widespread. 26 people, including 20 former college basketball players, are facing federal charges for an alleged point-saving scheme. And according to that federal indictment, some of the suspects are called fixers, that they would go in and have these players at 17 Division I schools, including ECU and NC State University, that they would go in and fix these games, and for $10,000 to $30,000 that they would get for these players to fix these games over the last few years.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of them were based on like a spread or a money line bet. Basically, if a team was favored by 10 points, they would say, okay, you need to you need to lose by at least 10 points. So players who would score maybe 32 points on average, all of a sudden that game they would only score 11. So those are the allegations, of course. I thought this was interesting too. The fixer started with 2 games in the Chinese Basketball Association in 2023.
Grew, yeah.
Yeah, and then made it into NCAA games. I mean, we're talking like millions of dollars. One of the I was reading through the indictment, and one of the games, it was like they placed numerous wagers amounting to like $500,000 just on one game.
That was the one involving Towson State and North Carolina A&T State University, and basically $458,000 in wagers were made on that game. And it said that the Tigers would cover the spread. Towson, first half spread. Then the indictment alleges that Towson outscored A&T 42-21. So they covered the spread in the first half. Right. And one of those guys that was in there, Camion Shell, was part of the ones who was the fixer in that game. And then Towson played much better in the second half. So he got his money afterwards from one of the fixers there. And it's just a wild story. And that guy, Camion Shell, is now playing right now today at Delaware State University. So wonder what's going to happen with him.
Well, and what's going to happen with all these bettors who have lost confidence that
we've seen
they're
this in the
betting.
NBA,
Yeah, we saw it with, Terry Rozier, former Hornets star, who was arrested for his alleged part in that gambling conspiracy involving the mob.
About what's going on, right?
So he allegedly faked an injury for people who were betting all of his unders. So I mean, you talk about all this stuff, and it doesn't, these people who place bets
doesn't give
on
you the
games,
full faith and confidence right now
that
in
it's legit.
College basketball game after something like this came out, the NBA game.
One of these, by the way, the fixers put $200,000 in bribe payments and shared winnings from the rigged games in someone's storage locker in Florida. I mean, talk about the intricacy of it.
I wouldn't be sharing it. I wouldn't be storing it in a locker. I'd be spending it, right?
Yeah.
But, anyway. All right, let's turn down to the weather and bring in meteorologist Andrew Brightman. We got beautiful weather outside. We don't see a cloud in the sky except that one right behind the Bank of America building there.
No golf today, Brian.
It's cold.
It is true. What do you mean no golf today? Come on.
You would have played?
I have.
You have back in your
Green Bay. Of course, she's golfed
your
in
glory
the cold
days
weather.
at Hofstra.
I remember my brother had tryouts, and they had to find their golf balls by finding the track in the snow.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you ever played in the snow.
You didn't
before.
use white golf balls, did you?
Yeah, they did. That's where they had to look for the track.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Fascinating whether trying to play golf.
It makes you concentrate harder.
It does. Yeah, you definitely don't want to hit something offline there. We've got a very cold pattern ahead here across the Carolinas. Really, it's not going to be changing for a prolonged period of time. The pattern is loaded if you like cold and potentially wintry weather. We really need the perfect conditions this far south to get snow. It does happen. We have not seen an inch of snow in one single event now in over 4. You got to go back to January of 2022. I was not even working here at Queen City News the last time we saw an inch of snow in a single event. It's been that long since we've seen anything kind of note here across the Carolinas. We've got another reinforcing front coming through on Saturday, and all eyes now are on Sunday. And I know you guys are going to like this answer, but there still is a lot of uncertainty here to the forecast. Still probably going to have to be until tomorrow until things really start to come into vogue here across the region of what we're actually expecting. In the here and now, we still got those cold weather advisories up across the mountains, Avery, Ashe, and Watauga County until 7 o'clock in the morning. Could see those wind chill values still getting down as low as 12 degrees below zero. Satellite imagery shows you those upsloping clouds up across the mountains. Elsewhere, as Brian was talking about, beautiful clear skies out there. High pressure squarely in control, but it's a Canadian high, and we have got a lot of cold. Wait. You get major kudos there, Morgan. I wanted to do it, but I was like, no. But I'm glad you did it, though. Temperatures in the teens up across the mountains. Elsewhere here, mid to upper 30s and around Charlotte. I'm glad I brought some humor to this show, trying to infect everyone else with it. Now, what does it feel like outside on the skin? 0 right now in Boone. But you know what? Morgan played in when it felt like 20 degrees below zero up in Green Bay. Those are rookie numbers.
Back when I was young.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I'm the one who should be saying back when I was young.
And it feels like in the mid to upper 20s here in and around Charlotte. Coming up, the full forecast. I'm breaking down what's on the way with this next front Saturday. You could see a couple of showers and, yes, the potential for maybe a little bit of wintry weather come Sunday.
I want to say it was like 2018 that we had the really big snowfall. You remember that?
I mean, I know we had a couple of decent snows.
2014 was a good one.
That was one of the big ones of note.
Yeah.
But 2022, I think we picked up. I think it was like over 4 inches during the month of
2014
January.
was 7 inches because I remember flying in from Seattle that day when there was just snow all over.
You're like, did I get on the wrong
Yeah.
plane here?
Oh my gosh, it's a blizzard in Charlotte when I landed.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So,
All right. Well, coming up, we got some great video of, well, it's a crash.
crazy video.
Yeah, crazy video. And we'll have the details for you coming up after the break. We are watching Queen City News Plus Live. .316 on a Thursday. Welcome back to Queen City News Plus Live as we are heading outside, take a live look here at the Charlotte skyline. On a cold day, we're going to have meteorologist Andrew Brightman talk about that forecast going into the weekend and also the possibility of snow. Morgan, let's start off talking about, before we went to the break, talking about this crash that we have involving, this was an oil tanker and a container ship in the North Sea from back in March of last year. And take a look at this crash. Sound up, I love it. It just tells you all you need to know right there about exactly what happened. A Russian captain here has been prosecuted right now for deliberately crashing this with gross negligence manslaughter of a crew member that died on the Stina Immaculate ship back from March of 2025.
Yeah, he said that his ship was on autopilot and that he tried to change course to avoid the collision. Obviously, wasn't able to do that. But when you crash into an oil tanker, that's what you get. This happened off of Britain's East Coast last year. Just absolutely crazy that something like this could happen with all the technology that's on these ships, and it's just
a very expensive and deadly crash.
You think of there's so much room, right? And then you just happen to crash into a oil tanker. It's just crazy.
And the captain there, Vladimir Motin, is charged with gross negligence manslaughter, but he has pleaded not guilty here, and he said he tried to change course, but that so long was carrying mainly alcohol spirits. That's the container ship that crashed, some hazardous substances, including some empty but unclean sodium cyanide containers, which I'm sure helped in this explosion that he had.
Really interesting development. NASA, they've been dealing with this medical emergency that happened in space, and they just had their first medical evacuation ever, which is just when you think about everything that it would take to bring this crew back to Earth. The alien astronaut, they haven't said what the astronaut's name is or what kind of medical emergency this person dealt with, but first trip after coming back from the space station after just
right to the hospital.
Right to the hospital. They were only there for about a month.
Yeah, they were up there. There were two U.S. astronauts and a Russian cosmonaut, or two Russian cosmonauts and one American and one Japanese. And we don't know exactly who was the alien astronaut, what exactly what transpired, but they got them back to Earth safely, and so they cut their mission short. But you can think about it. If you're up there in those confined quarters, what happens if you have like appendicitis or something? I'm just throwing it out there and saying, what would it be? How do you manage to have something like that? If you get the flu or someone got the COVID, I don't know how you would get it up there, but certain things like that we take for granted.
Transmission rate would be low.
Yeah, we're just going to go to the hospital, go to the doctor. It's not so easily done with the astronauts, so they got them back safely here on Earth.
Yeah, serious enough of a medical condition that they had to bring the person back. NASA and SpaceX are trying to get a fresh crew of 4 up there, and liftoff is, I think they're aiming for mid-February for that.
Yeah, good.
Do you have Verizon? Does anyone in here have Verizon?
We talked about this with Derek a couple days ago. He has Verizon.
I do
he had
too.
That SOS. You do too?
I never had any issues. And I'm like, what is everyone talking about?
You were one of the lucky ones then, I guess,
what did I do right? But they've issued an apology now, and they're going to give affected customers a $20 voucher. There is a little bit of a catch with that. You need to get on the My Verizon app and claim that offer, which I'm sure customers aren't thrilled with. Whenever there's an issue, they want to just see it right in there.
Just give a check in the bank. You put it in my Venmo, put it in my bank account or whatever. But yeah, we're gonna have to go do that. There's no explanation about why or what exactly happened on this outage.
There are reports that it was some sort of a software issue, which I feel like seems pretty straightforward that there would be a software
yeah,
issue, but
there was 500,000 people on Verizon that were affected by
Really
that, and then
incredible.
also AT&T customers and some T-Mobile customers. I believe, was that right, Austin? It was T-Mobile.
Yeah, it was
AT&T.
AT&T, Verizon, and then some internet providers as
Internet
well.
providers. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's caught the attention of the FCC. They're monitoring the situation as well. Verizon is saying, by the way, if you're still experiencing some issues, they sound like every IT person in your normal job. Turn your device off and then turn it back on. That's
works.
what IT always
lot of
tells me to
times.
do. So we'll see if that helps, right?
Yeah. Well, let's get back to the weather right now, Morgan, as we are going to be talking about what we got today. We got some cold weather. Look how windy it is out there today.
Blustery.
Meteorologist Andrew Brightman back with us again.
I'm back.
Talk about possibility of snow in the mountains.
A couple of flurries still lingering around in the mountains, and then it's not just the mountains that could get in the action here this weekend, Brian, but the whole Piedmont, and that's where everyone's ears are kind of perking up, and could we actually end this meaningful snowless streak? The absolute snowless streak ended last winter. We picked up the
I remember that.
the gaudy numbers of 0.4 and 0.3 inches of snow. I mean. I almost was wondering how the city was going to recover after those snowstorms.
Oh, I
but-
We're
know,
so
it's-
delicate
yeah.
here.
Yeah, we're very, very
In
delicate.
Seattle or Green Bay, you were talking
Yeah.
about, we're going to get certain inches of snow. We're talking about feet of snow.
Yeah.
We're gonna get-
Right.
We're trying to get past the decimal point here, and actually all the way up to a 1 of inches. Now, 37 degrees currently, winds out of the west-northwest about 20 to 25 miles an hour. It is very, very dry. I need the chapstick, the moisturizer here. That cracked skin dew point is at 0 right now. It is very, very dry. It feels like winter out there. In Beach Mountain, you can see still a couple of snowflakes flying around, just a lot of low cloud cover. You get all that upslope flow. Whenever air rises, it condenses. That's where you get all that cloud cover across the higher elevations, that northwesterly flow slamming directly into the mountains. Wind chill values down around still 0 here across the higher elevations. They're going to start to fall again as we head through the evening hours as those temperatures fall. And right now on radar, they're really completely quiet outside of maybe a couple of those snowflakes across the higher elevations. Now, we already got one front that came through. Another front is on the way, and that's the front that's going to come into play as we get later on in the weekend and to your Sunday here. Temperatures right now, 30 in Knoxville on the flip side, where they're feeling a little bit more of that upslope flow. Try saying that 3 times fast here. West of the mountains, 30 in Knoxville, 34 in Nashville.
I'll let you
Elsewhere,
do it.
you can feel the much colder temperatures that moved in here across the eastern third of the country. And it's fresh, cold Canadian air. You can follow those little streamlines, kind of go backwards here. It goes all the way up into northwestern Canada. This is land-based Arctic air and why it has been so chilly here across the Carolinas. Let's talk, though. Let's get right to the meat and potatoes. What everyone wants to know. What do we know what's coming for Sunday? The pattern is ripe. We actually have a lot of trophiness, a big dip in the jet stream across the eastern third of the country. We've got fresh, cold air arriving here once we get to your Sunday with this frontal boundary moving through. We do have a developing coastal low. What we don't know is, does the low develop quickly enough? Or is it just going to be what we call a very flat pattern? It's very weak low, kind of goes right out to sea. And is there truly enough cold air around to make sure that this event would be completely snow here across the Carolinas? Let's get right into Futurecast. This evening, it's going to get cold, okay? The electric bill's going up a little bit, okay, this weekend here, at least tonight.
Oh, man.
As we dip down to around the 20-degree mark. But again, Morgan from being up in Wisconsin, she's coming in working shorts tomorrow here with the temperatures down around the 20-degree mark. Friday, we get a little bit warmer back up into the middle 40s. Friday night's going to get chilly, but not quite as cold as what we're seeing tomorrow morning. Saturday, could see a couple of sprinkles, a couple of snowflakes across the higher elevations. And then as we go throughout the day, there's more of those snow showers across the mountains. Still, we warm up probably into the low to mid-50s. Then the question, what happens as we get to Sunday here? Our in-house model is a little all over the place. I'm going to our next model here, the main American model, showing there's the frontal boundary moving through, a couple of snow showers from the mountains, maybe a couple of sprinkles here in Charlotte. And it's behind that front, we're going to see potentially an area of low pressure is going to take shape along it. And how strong that area of low pressure gets is going to be so crucial for who sees snow, who sees nothing, and who sees maybe some rainfall here. And that's what we're going to be watching as we go through really the next day or so. Probably by this time tomorrow, we'll have a very good grasp of what we're going to see. We'll get a little bit more model consensus here for what is expected across the Carolinas. As for this evening, it's going to get cold, guys. Down around 20 here overnight, maybe even 19. In Charlotte, we got mostly clear skies, slackening winds. It is going to drop like an anchor towards that dew point and probably getting down into the upper teens, low to mid-teens. Doesn't get colder up across the mountains because they still have a little bit of cloud cover that's going to hold those temperatures up. You don't get to truly sort of radiate all of that, whatever heat there is up across the mountains out into outer space. Park forecast tomorrow, a very chilly start, and then we start to warm up here into the middle 40s, so warmer, but still well below average for this time of year. Your pinpoint 7-day forecast. We're all about watching your Sunday, and that chilly pattern is not going anywhere as we head towards the middle part of next week.
You guys enjoy. I'm going to Palm Springs tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Brian?
Listen to you thinking that you're talking about this like you're going to be here. And you're,
Brian talks about ski trips to Aspen, going to Palm Springs. One day I can be that lately.
Yeah. It's all for baseball on this one. Morgan got a great story coming up for you.
we do.
Puppies.
Puppies.
Being rescued.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. We have this great video of a puppy, which I don't know, it looks like a very large puppy.
He got stuck in a drain.
Look at these firefighters. This is in Argentina trying to rescue. Apparently someone heard the dog's cry for help, just kind of got stuck in a small pipe and
That's a
couldn't
big
get out.
puppy, buddy. Look how muddy he is.
Yeah.
That is his name is Captain.
Poor thing looks like a black lab.
He's going to need a nice bath, too.
Yeah, and a good home.
Hey, thanks for watching on Queen City News Plus Live today on this Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.